Well, welcome everybody. I'm just gonna lay in bed here and watch the what is it? The mess of the union address, the State of the Union address. So this is going to be interesting, and wait for some people to come on. We got let's see, we're gonna have there they are, the mess of people over there, and they're announcing a lot of people coming in right now. Um, and they all these dignitaries. Yeah, ironically, they just lifted the mask mandate. They were going to make everybody wear a mask, and then yesterday they lifted the mask mandate. So uh, we got a little bit of time before it starts, and I had a picture. I don't have it with Bill Clinton, but he was like the last good Democratic president, and he came out with his book, um, "Cigars Ain't Just for Smoking," published by Rectum House. So I can't took a picture with him, and I got reminded of like he was the last good president. And if you're watching, comment. I invite you all to comment. And but here, let's go live while they're introducing dignitaries. Um, all the left wing Democratic socialists. Let's go live to the Biden White House uh, bedroom, where Biden, in his pajamas, says, "You woke me for what? What speech?" So I wonder, is he going to be prepared? Is he going to, um, is he going to be sleeping during this thing? Is he going to make it through his own speech? Is he going to be able to stand with what's going? He could be putting himself to sleep on this speech. But as after he woke up with what speech? Why did you wake me? Remember, it's past his bedtime right now. He had to eat. So baby Biden had to eat and get his food, and while he's waiting. So let's go live to the event. And oh, so they just showed Justice Kavanaugh, who was a traitor to Biden, to Trump, uh, a phony. Who, now I look back, he probably did what he was accused of. He got in. Who's that? Jon Stewart? Who's that guy? No, it's not Jon Stewart. Some. This is the last time the Democrats are going to have control of the Congress, because they're going to lose the. They're obviously going to lose the. So if you're out there, comment. This is the last time the Democrats are going to have control of the Congress. So let's see. We got a comment already. Mom's here. She's watching. Got to get like 100 other people watching. So we got some people watching. Waiting. Oh, we got Ted Cruz, Lindsay Lohan Graham. Oh, there are the two, Amy Conan Bryant, or whatever her name is, another traitor to the Trump administration, puts them in, and then they don't do anything. And let's see. Sorry about that. So we're gonna wait. Biden, they're gonna. on the what's happening to the stream? There we go. The justices who, if the people from that signed the Declaration came to America now, they would look at Congress and go, "Why are you people still in Congress? We didn't put term limits in because we didn't expect you to make a job of it. We had lives to go home to, and we didn't have pensions. What are you doing? What you're stealing from the American public. You're not there to get pensions when you leave office. You know that the people in Ukraine right now are doing what the revolutionists kind of did. Well, Ukrainians are defending the attack. The revolutionaries started with the Tea Party because they wanted to be free, but now Americans wouldn't even fight. Americans are not even going to fight for their freedom. So, well, and let me go back to why is Biden not here yet? Because he was. Let's go to the Oval White House bedroom. You woke me for what? What speech? What speech did you wake me for? So, and then he's got to eat before he comes in. Baby Biden, num 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 num. So, is he going to do his "I got hairy legs" speech? Uh, there are two of the most corrupt people in Congress: Pelosi and Kamala Harris, and how she raised, and she was a favorite of San Francisco politician that got her job. So I'm just stating the facts, folks. I'm not doing nothing. And for you Democrats, if I liked him. If you want to buy Clinton's new book, just reminiscing on his time, Cigars Ain't Just for Smoking, written with Monica Lewinsky, published by Rectum House. So, who are they announcing now? Who are they announcing now? This is the guy.
Speaker, the President of the United States.
There's the first lie of the night. Now let's even see. You know what? Is that even Biden or is that the imposter? Is that Biden or the imposter? Let's see. Is that Biden or the imposter? How is this guy going to stand for? Let's try to listen to see if this is really Biden. Because how's he going to stand for 2 hours? How's this guy going to? Usually has quips, so they probably pumped him up like an injured athlete to be able to stand for 2 hours. Well, they're not. That's the applause he's getting. That's like nothing. Because they're even going, is that Biden? Is that Biden? Let's see. Let's see. He's got to come and give the speech to Pelosi and Kamala, Vice President Kamala Harris. First lie of the night. Our president, Joe Biden. So he's like reading, he goes, this isn't Dr. Seuss. He can't even believe he's here. He's like, he knows he's been put in Is that him?
Members of Congress, I have the high privilege and distinct honor
Oh,
of
what a
presenting to you the President of the United States.
oh, what a phony she is. I'm surprised her teeth stayed in during that one. Let's see.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you all very much. And our First Lady. Thinking he could make it bend to his menacing ways. But he badly miscalculated. He thought he could roll into Ukraine and the world would roll over. Instead, he met with a wall of strength he never anticipated or imagined. He met the Ukrainian people.
Yeah, because he didn't meet America or the world because they were too weak to.
And President Zelensky, to every Ukrainian, their fearlessness, their courage, their determination literally inspires the world. Groups of citizens
Inspires the world to what?
walking
Sit back
tanks
and
with their
watch
bodies.
while the Ukrainians
Everyone
get
from students to
destroyed?
retirees to teachers turned soldiers defending their homeland. And in this struggle, President Zelensky said in his speech to the European Parliament, light will win over darkness. The Ukrainian ambassador to the United States is here tonight, sitting with the First Lady. Let each of us, if you're able to stand and send an unmistakable
Yeah, let's put a gun into her hand. She's the happiest Ukrainian there is because she's not in Ukraine.
Thank you.
She's safe in America. She's thrilled.
She's bright, she's strong, and she's resolved.
Oh my God, what a phony. Jill Biden was Joe Biden's babysitter when he was married, when she was 17.
Yes. We, the United States of America, stand with the Ukrainian people. Throughout our history, we've learned this lesson. When dictators do not pay a price for their aggression, they cause more chaos. They keep moving, and the cost, the threats to America and America to the world keeps rising. That's why the NATO alliance was created, to secure peace and stability in Europe after World War II.
So while
the United States is a member, along with 29 other nations, it matters. American diplomacy matters. American resolve matters. Putin's latest attack on Ukraine was premeditated and totally unprovoked. He rejected repeated efforts at diplomacy. He thought the West and NATO wouldn't respond.
And they didn't respond. They have sanctions while they're bombing Ukraine.
He thought he could divide us in Europe as well. But Putin was wrong. We are ready. We are united, and that's what we did. We stayed united.
So
We
you stayed
prepared
united,
extensively and carefully.
but they
We spent
invaded
months building
Ukraine,
coalitions of other
and they're
freedom-loving
still
nations in
invading.
Europe and the Americas, from America to the Asian and African continents, to confront Putin. Like many of you, I spent countless hours unifying our European allies.
And sleeping.
We shared with the world in advance what we knew Putin was planning and precisely how he would try to falsify and justify his aggression. We countered Russia's lies with the truth. And now that along with 27 members of the European Union, including France, Germany, Italy, as well as countries like the United Kingdom, Canada, Japan, Korea, Australia, New Zealand, and many others, even Switzerland, are inflicting pain on Russia and supporting the people of Ukraine. Putin is now isolated from the world more than he has ever been. Together,
You think Putin didn't know what was going to happen? America and the world hasn't even stood up to him yet. They did sanctions while they're still sending bombs in Ukraine and taking over Kiev and conquering another country. And we're sitting back. Weak president.
Enforcing powerful economic sanctions. We're cutting off Russia's largest banks in the international financial system, preventing Russia's central bank from defending the Russian ruble, making Putin's $630 billion war fund worthless. We're choking Russia's access.
All this tells me is it's time to invest in rubles, so when they come back,
economic strength and weaken its military for years to come. Tonight, I say to the Russian oligarchs and the corrupt leaders who built billions of dollars off this violent regime, no more. The United States.
No more. And Putin just, as he said that, Putin just sent another missile into the Ukraine and laughing at Biden.
The United States Department of Justice is assembling a dedicated task force to go after the crimes of the Russian oligarchs. We're joining with European allies to find and seize their yachts, their luxury apartments, their private jets. We're coming for you, ill-begotten gains.
There goes Pelosi with her teeth.
I'm announcing that we will join our allies in closing off American airspace to all Russian flights, further isolating Russia and adding additional squeeze on their economy.
But their economy, what about our economy? Our economy's a mess.
He has no idea what's coming. The ruble has already lost 30% of its value. The Russian stock market has lost 40% of its value, and trading remains suspended. The Russian economy is reeling, and Putin alone is the one to blame. Together with our allies, we're providing support to the Ukrainians in their fight for freedom.
What kind of support?
Military assistance, economic assistance, humanitarian assistance. We're giving more than $1 billion of direct assistance to Ukraine, and will continue to aid the Ukrainian people as they defend their country and help ease their suffering.
Where'd you come up with this money? We have homeless people living in the street. And now we're helping another country? Oh, what a mess.
Let me be clear. Our forces are not engaged and will not engage in the conflict with Russian forces in Ukraine. Our forces are not going to Europe to fight Ukraine, but to defend our NATO allies in the event that Putin decides to keep moving west.
And then we'll keep moving further west so we don't engage.
Air squadrons, ship deployments to protect NATO countries, including Poland, Romania, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. And as I've made crystal clear, the United States and our allies will defend every inch of territory that is NATO territory with the full force of our collective power. Every single inch.
Oh, so while they take the Ukraine, we're just going to sit back and
we're clear-eyed. Ukrainians are fighting back with pure courage. But the next few days, weeks, and months will be hard on them. Putin has unleashed violence and chaos. But while he may make gains on the battlefield, he'll pay a continuing high price over the long run.
Obviously, you don't care.
A pound of Ukrainian people proud, proud people, pound for pound, ready to fight with every inch of energy they have. They've known 30 years of independence, have repeatedly shown that they will not tolerate anyone who tries to take their country backwards. To all Americans, I'll be honest with you, as I always promised I would be.
Oh, but you never
The
are.
Russian dictator of invading a foreign country has cost around the world. And I'm taking robust action to make sure the pain of our sanctions is targeted at Russian economy and that we use every tool at our disposal to protect
Because you already
American businesses
destroyed
and
our
consumers.
economy. Might as
Tonight,
well destroy another
I can
country's
announce the United
economy.
States has worked with 30 other countries to release 60 million barrels of oil from reserves around the world. America will lead
Oh,
that effort,
what a phony.
releasing 30 million barrels of our own strategic petroleum reserve.
Which is going to
And we
disappear in a
stand ready
day.
to do more if necessary, united with our allies. These steps will help blunt gas prices here at home, but I know news about what's happening can seem alarming to all Americans. But I want you to know
We've been.
we're going to be okay.
We're not going to
We're
be
going to be
okay as
okay.
long as you're
When the
president.
history of this era is written,
You've
Putin's
destroyed
war
our
in Ukraine will have
economy.
left Russia weaker and the rest of the world stronger. Well, while it shouldn't have taken something so terrible for people around the world to see what's at stake, now everyone sees it clearly. We see the unity among leaders of nations, a more unified
Okay,
Europe,
how
a more
long are you
unified
going to
West.
repeat yourself?
We see unity
We
among the
see the
people who are
unity.
gathering in
Can we
cities
move on?
and large crowds around the world, even in Russia,
Enough with
to
the
demonstrate
Ukraine
their
and
support for the
Russia.
people of Ukraine.
We already know that
In the
you're
battle
doing
between
nothing.
democracy and autocracy,
You're doing sanctions while they
democracies are
continue.
rising to the
Let's
moment,
get to the state of
and the world is
America,
clearly
which is what
choosing
your
the
speech
side
is
of
supposed to
peace
be
and
about.
security.
We're already in
This is
for
the real
20
test.
minutes into your speech.
It's going to take time. So let us continue to draw inspiration from the iron will of the Ukrainian people. To our fellow Ukrainian Americans who forged the deep bond that connects our two nations, we stand with you. We stand with you. Putin may
We stand,
circle
but we
Kyiv with
stand
tanks,
outside
but
apparently
he'll
without
never
helping
gain the
them.
hearts and souls of the Iranian people. He'll never extinguish their love of freedom, and he will never weaken the resolve of the free world. We meet tonight in an America that has lived through two of the hardest years this nation has ever faced. The pandemic has been punishing, and so many families are living paycheck to paycheck,
Don't say
struggling
how
to
you
keep up with the
created
rising
jobs,
cost of
because all it
food,
was
gas,
people going back
housing,
to work.
and so much more. I understand, like many of you did. My dad had to leave his home in Scranton, Pennsylvania to find work. So like many of you, I grew up in a family
Scranton,
when the price
home
of
of
food
the
went up.
home base for
It
the
was felt
office.
throughout the family. It had an impact. That's when one of the first things I did as president was fight to pass the American Rescue Plan.
No, the first
Because
thing you did
people
as
were hurting.
president was shut off
We
the
needed to
oil
act, and we did. Few pieces of legislation have done more at a
and
critical
causing the
moment in our
price to
history
go up.
to lift us out of a crisis. It fueled our efforts to vaccinate the nation and combat COVID-19, delivered immediate economic relief to tens of millions of Americans. It helped put food on the table. Remember those long lines of cars waiting for hours just to get a box of food put in their trunk? It cut the cost of health care insurance.
Cut the
And as my
cost of
dad used to
healthcare
say, it gave the
insurance.
people just a little bit
Healthcare
of
insurance
breathing
is
room.
out of control.
Unlike the $2 trillion tax cut passed in the previous administration that benefited the top 1% of Americans, the American Rescue Plan
Chuck Schumer,
helped
sit
working
down, Chuck.
people and left no
Sit
one
down.
behind.
You got more corrupt money than anyone. I don't even know what he said just now.
And it worked. It worked.
He's got, you know who's clapping? The ones who made a ton of money off of his
We
decisions.
created jobs, lots of jobs. In fact, our economy created over 6.5 million new jobs.
No, you
just
didn't
last
create jobs. You
More
filled the
jobs
jobs that you got
in
rid
1
of
year
when you
than
made
ever
people stay
before in the
home
history of the
because of
United
the
States of
pandemic.
America.
You didn't create any
The economy
jobs.
grew at a rate of 5.7 last year, the strongest growth rate in 40 years.
Talk about the
And the first
historic
step in bringing
inflation we
fundamental
have.
change to our economy that hasn't worked for working people in this nation for too long. For the past 40 years, we were told the tax break for those at the top and benefits would trickle down and everyone would benefit. But that trickle down theory led to a weaker economic growth, lower wages, bigger deficits, and a widening gap between the top and everyone else in nearly a century. Look, Vice President Harris and I ran for office, and I realize we have fundamental disagreements on this, but ran for office with a new economic vision for
Is
America.
she going to cackle?
Invest in America, educate Americans,
Is she going to cackle?
grow the workforce, build the economy from the bottom up and the middle out, not from the top down, because we know.
Yeah.
Because we know.
Raise prices, give McDonald's workers more money, make it more costly for the middle class.
Because we know when the middle class grows, the poor have a way up and the wealthy do very well. America used to have the best roads, bridges, and airports on earth. And now our infrastructure is ranked 13th in the world. We won't be able to compete for the jobs of the 21st century if we don't fix it. That's why it was so important
Oh, look
to
at that
pass the
joke.
bipartisan
One
infrastructure
of his
law.
secretaries.
And I thank my Republican friends who joined to invest and rebuild America. The single biggest investment in history. It was a bipartisan effort, and I want to thank the members of both parties who worked to make it happen. We're done talking about infrastructure weeks. We're now talking about an infrastructure decade. And look,
it's funny what a Congress could do when they don't spend time trying to get rid of a great president.
To put us on a path to win the economic competition of the 21st century that we face with the rest of the world, particularly China. I told Xi Jinping, it's never been a good bet to bet against the American people. We'll create good jobs for millions of Americans, modernizing roads, airports, ports, waterways, all across America. And we'll do it to withstand the devastating effects of climate change and promote environmental justice. We'll build a network of 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations. Begin to replace the poisonous lead pipes so every child, every American has clean water to drink at home and at school. We're going to provide affordable, high-speed internet for every American, rural, suburban, urban, and tribal communities. 4,000 projects have already been announced. Many of you have announced them in your districts. And tonight, I'm announcing that this year, we will start fixing over 65,000 miles of highway and 1,500 bridges in disrepair. And folks,
so let's hear about gas prices and the economy and inflation.
When we use taxpayers' dollars to rebuild America, we're going to do it by buying American.
Who else's
Buy
tax dollars you're
American
going to use?
products.
Buy American.
Support American jobs.
Yeah.
The federal government spends about $600 billion a year to keep this country safe and secure. There's been a law on the books for almost a century to make sure taxpayers' dollars support American jobs and businesses. Every administration, Democrat and Republican, says they'll do it, but we're actually doing it. We'll buy America to make sure everything from the deck of an aircraft carrier to the steel on highway guardrails is made in America from beginning to end. All of it. All of it.
First, you have to set up manufacturing, which Trump was trying to do.
But folks, to compete for the jobs of the future, we also need a level playing field with China and other competitors. That's why it's so important to pass the Bipartisan Innovation Act sitting in Congress that will make record investments in emerging technologies and American manufacturing. We used to invest almost 2% of our GDP in research and development. We don't now. Can't. China is. Let me give you one example why it's so important to pass. If you travel 20 miles east of Columbus,
This guy's
Ohio,
putting me to sleep.
you'll find 1,000 empty
Oof.
acres of land. It won't look like much, but if you stop and look closely, you'll see a field of dreams, the ground on which America's future will be built.
Is
That's what
Kevin
Intel, the
Costner going to
American
go out and
company
start
that helped
running
build
out now
Silicon
with
Valley,
that Field of Dreams?
is going to build a $20 billion semiconductor mega site, up to 8 state-of-the-art factories in one place, 10,000 new jobs. And in those factories, the average job about $135,000 a year. Some of the most sophisticated manufacturing in the world to make computer chips the size of a fingertip, that power the world in everyday lives, from smartphones, technology, the internet, technology is yet to be invented. But that's just the beginning. Intel CEO Pat Gelsinger, who is here tonight, I don't know where Pat is. Pat, there you go, Pat, stand up.
Pat, stand up. Pat, he asked you to stand up.
Pat,
What kind of, what is that? You used to having handcuffs on you? What kind of,
Pat came to see me and he told me they're ready to increase their investment from 20 billion to 100 billion. That would be the biggest investment in manufacturing in American history. And all they're waiting for is for you to pass this bill. So let's not wait any longer.
let's,
Send it to my
tomorrow,
desk.
I
I'll
hope someone
sign it.
comes and says what kind
And
of
we'll
crap
really
is
take
in the
off in a
bill
big way.
that they're going to, that supports social
Folks,
welfare, and they're going to blame the Republicans for not
Intel is
passing it.
not alone. There's something happening in America. Just look around and you'll see an amazing story. The rebirth of pride that comes from stamping products made in America. The revitalization of American manufacturing. Companies are choosing to build new factories here when just a few
How
years ago
come
they
the
would have gone
Democrats
overseas.
weren't
That's what's
excited when
happening.
Trump was talking about
Ford is
building
investing
manufacturing?
$11 billion in
What a
electric
bunch of
vehicles,
phonies.
creating 11,000 jobs across the country. GM is making the largest investment in its history, $7 billion to build electric vehicles, creating 4,000 jobs in Michigan. All told, 369,000 new manufacturing jobs were created in America last year alone. Folks, powered by people I've met like JoJo Burgess from generations of union steelworkers in Pittsburgh, who's here tonight. Where are you, JoJo? There you go. Thanks, buddy. As Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown says,
Okay, everybody has their little Ukraine flag on there while the
and
country is
Sherrod
just
Brown
getting
says it's
bombed
time
left
to
and
bury
right.
the label Rust Belt. It's time to see the what used to be called the Rust Belt become the home
The only
of
rust is in your brain.
significant resurgence of manufacturing. And with all the bright spots in our economy, record job growth, higher wages, too many families are struggling to keep up with their bills. Inflation is robbing them of gains they thought otherwise they would be able to feel. I get it. That's why my top priority is getting prices under control. Look, our economy roared back faster than almost anyone predicted. But the pandemic meant that businesses had a hard time hiring enough people because of the pandemic to keep up production in their factories. So you didn't have people making those beams that went into buildings because they were out. The factory was closed. The panic also disrupted the global supply chain. Factories close. When that happens, it takes longer to make goods and get them to the warehouses, to the stores, and prices go up. Look at cars last year. 1/3 of all the inflation was because of automobile sales. There weren't enough semiconductors to make all the cars that people wanted to buy. And guess what? Prices of automobiles went way up, especially used vehicles as well. And so we have a choice. One way to fight inflation is to drive down wages and make Americans poorer. I think I have a better idea to fight inflation. Lower your costs, not your wages.
How do you lower costs and not wages? Then you lose money. Your minimum wage is ridiculous, raising that to an unheard of
That
amount.
means make more cars and semiconductors in America, more infrastructure and innovation in America, more goods moving faster and cheaper in America, more jobs where you can earn a good living in America. Instead of relying on foreign supply chains, let's make it in America. Look, economists.
Trump wanted to make America, and they just fought him all the way. Oh, boy. Listen to the Democratic Socialist chanting
All this
USA.
increasing the productive capacity of our economy. I call it building a better America.
Oh, boy.
My plan to fight inflation will lower your costs and lower the deficit. 17 Nobel laureates in economics said my plan will ease long-term inflationary pressures. Top business leaders, and I believe most Americans support the plan. And here's the plan. First, cut the cost of prescription drugs. We pay more for the same drug produced by the same company in America than any other country in the world. Just look at insulin. 1 in 10 Americans has diabetes. In Virginia, I met a 13-year-old boy, the handsome young man standing up there, Joshua Davis. He and his dad both have type 1 diabetes, which means they need insulin every single day. Insulin costs about $10 a vial to make. That's what it costs the pharmaceutical company. But drug companies charge families like Joshua and his dad up to 30 times that amount. I spoke with Joshua's mom. Imagine what it's like to look at your child who needs insulin to stay healthy and have no idea how in God's name you're going to be able to pay for it. What it does to your family, but what it does to your dignity, your ability to look your child in the eye, to be the parent you expect yourself to be. I really mean to think about that. That's what I think about. You know, yesterday, Joshua's here tonight, but yesterday was his birthday. Happy birthday, buddy, by the way. For Joshua and 200,000 other young people with type 1 diabetes, let's cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month so everyone can afford it. And drug companies will do very, very well, their profit margin. While we're at it, I know we have great disagreements on this floor with this. Let's let Medicare negotiate the price of prescription drugs. They already set the price for VA drugs. Look, the American Rescue Plan is helping millions of families with Affordable Care Act plans to save them $2,400 a year on their health premiums. Let's close the coverage gap and make these savings permanent. And second, let's cut energy costs for families, an average of $500 a year by combating climate change. Let's provide an investment tax credits to weatherize your home and your business, to be energy efficient and get a tax credit for it. Double America's clean energy production.
They offer tax
solar,
credits
wind,
now
and so
for
much
doing
more.
that.
Lower the price of
Nothing
electric
new.
vehicles, saving
Look
another
at her.
$80 a month that
She's
you're
so
not going to have
glad
to pay
she's
at the
not
pump.
serving drinks anymore.
Folks,
She's so happy with her $180,000 salary. She's spending so much money on her
third thing we can
clothing.
do to change the standard of living for hardworking folks is cut the cost of child care. Cut the cost of child care.
So what he means by that is let them all stay with him at Michael Jackson's Neverland Ranch.
If you live in a major city in America, you pay up to
Biden will watch your kids for
$14,000 a
you.
year for child care per child. I was a single dad for 5 years, raising 2 kids. I had a lot of help, though. I
By
had a
Jill
mom and a
Biden, who was his
dad, a
babysitter.
brother and a sister that really helped. But middle class and working folks shouldn't have to pay more than 7% of their income to care for the young children. My plan
Is to
My
tax
plan was to cut
Americans
the
to help pay
cost
for that.
of child care in half for most families and help parents, including millions of women who left the workforce during the pandemic because they couldn't afford child care,
No,
be
because
able to
their
get back to
jobs
work,
went out of business.
generating economic growth.
That's why they left.
But my plan doesn't stop there. It also includes home and long-term care, more affordable housing, pre-K for 3 and 4-year-olds. All these will lower costs for families. And under my plan, nobody, let me say this again, nobody earning less than $400,000 a year will pay an additional penny in new taxes. Not a single
Oh, let's
penny.
see. Let's see that happen. Oh boy.
I may be
No
wrong,
new taxes.
but my guess is if we took a secret ballot in this floor, that we'd all agree that the present tax system ain't fair. We have to fix it. I'm not looking to punish anybody. But let's make corporations and wealthy Americans start paying their fair share. Look, last year,
Oh boy. She's sickening.
like Chris
Sit
Coons and
down,
Tom
Liz.
Carper and my distinguished congresswoman, we come from the land of corporate America. There are more corporations incorporated in America than every other state in America combined. And I
What?
still won 36 years in a row.
What did
The
you
point
just say?
is, even they understand they should pay just a fair share. Last year, 55 of the Fortune 500 companies earned $40 billion in profit and paid zero in federal taxes. Now look,
But how many people
it's
did
not
they
fair.
employ?
That's why I proposed
Did they
a 15%
use that money
minimum
for
tax rate for
investments?
corporations. We've got, and that's why in the G7 and other meetings overseas, we're able to put together, I was able to be somewhat helpful, 130 countries agree on a global minimum tax rate. So companies can't get out of paying their taxes at home by shipping jobs and factories overseas. It'll raise billions of dollars. That's why I propose closing loopholes for the very wealthy who pay a lower tax rate than a teacher and a firefighter. So that's my plan, but we'll go in more detail later. We will grow the economy,
Taxes
lower the
have been
cost
the
of families.
biggest thing never taken care of.
So what are we waiting for? Let's get this done. We all know we've got to make changes.
How come every year as a president, we've always got to make changes? 250 years of America, and they haven't gotten it right yet.
And while you're at it, confirm my nominees for the Federal Reserve, which plays a critical role in fighting inflation.
Oh boy.
My plan will not only lower costs and give families a fair shot, it will lower the deficit. The previous administration not only ballooned the deficit with those tax cuts for the very wealthy and
Nancy
corporations,
Pelosi and Kamala Harris are not humble
undermined the
people at
watchdogs,
all. Look at
the
them.
job of those to keep pandemic relief funds being wasted. Remember we had those debates about whether or not those watchdogs should be able to see every day how much money was being spent, where was it going to the right place? But in my administration, the watchdogs are back.
Yeah. Okay, ask your
And we're gonna go
watchdogs
after
how
the
much money
criminals
you
who stole
gave
billions of relief
to
money
Pfizer and
meant for small
Moderna.
business and millions of Americans. Tonight,
How
I'm
much money did you
announcing
give to
that the
them?
Justice Department will soon name a chief prosecutor for pandemic fraud.
What is pandemic fraud? What is it?
Look,
Explain it, please.
I think we all agree. Thank you. By the end of this year, the deficit will be down to less than half of what it was before I took office. The only president ever to cut the deficit by more than $1 trillion in a single year. Lowering your costs also
Barack
meant
Obama.
demanding more competition. I'm a capitalist, but capitalism without competition is not capitalism. Capitalism without competition is exploitation. It drives up profits. And corporations have to compete. Their profits go up and your prices go up when they don't have to compete. Small businesses and family farmers and ranchers. I need not tell
Mitch
some of my
McConnell
Republican friends from those states.
is kind of a
Guess
clown
what?
too.
You got 4 basic meat packing facilities. That's it. You play with them or you don't get to play at all. And you pay a hell of a lot
Well,
more.
whose fault is
A
that? That's
hell of a lot more
Congress's
because there's only
fault.
4.
That's
See what's
Congress's
happening with
fault.
ocean
You did it.
carriers moving goods in and out of America. During the pandemic, about half a dozen or less foreign-owned companies raised prices by as much as 1,000% and made record profits. Tonight, I'm announcing a crackdown on those companies overcharging American businesses and consumers. And folks,
What does that mean? A crackdown? What does that mean? Talking in generality, a crackdown on businesses.
and as Wall Street firms take over more nursing homes, quality in those homes has gone down and costs have gone up. That ends on my watch. Medicare is going to set higher standards for nursing homes and make sure loved ones get the care they deserve and that they inspect and they will look at closely. We're also going to cut costs to keep the economy going strong and giving workers a fair shot, provide more training and apprenticeships, hire them based on skills, not just their degrees. Let's pass the Paycheck Fairness Act and pay leave.
I wonder
Raise
if
the minimum wage to $15 an hour.
Oh, there we go. Raise the minimum
And
wage,
extend the child tax
raise
credit
costs.
so no one has to raise a family in poverty. Let's increase Pell Grants, increase our historic support for HBCUs.
So stupid.
And
You
invest
raise minimum wage,
in
it's
what
going to raise
Jill,
costs.
our First Lady who
God,
teaches full-time,
poverty
calls America's best kept secret,
is gonna
community
continue.
colleges. Look, let's pass the PRO Act. When a majority of workers want to form a union, they shouldn't be able to be stopped.
Oh, Jill Biden.
When we invest in our workers,
So
and we build
excited
an
he
economy
hasn't
from the
fallen
bottom
asleep
up and
yet.
build out together, we can do something we haven't done in a long time. Build a better America. For
The
more than
second
2
time he's
years,
used that
COVID has
term.
impacted every decision in our lives and the life of this nation. And I know
Anything's
you're
going to be better
tired,
than it is now.
frustrated, and exhausted. That doesn't even count the close to 1 million people who sit at a dining room table or a kitchen table and look at an empty chair because they lost somebody. But I also
Sitting at
know
the
this,
kitchen table.
because of the progress we've made, because of your resilience and the tools that we
I
have
wanted
been
to be
provided by
president.
this
I
Congress,
wanted to be president.
tonight I can say we're moving forward safely back to a more normal routines.
Did her flower have
We've
like
reached
that
a new
clown thing where it
moment in the fight
squeezes
against
water out of it?
COVID-19, where severe cases are down to a level not seen since July of last year. Just a few days ago, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention issued a new mask guidelines.
That
Under
honest
the new
stuff.
guidelines, most Americans now go mask-free. And based on projections, more of the country will reach that point across the next couple of weeks. And thanks to the progress we've made in the past year, COVID-19 no longer need control our lives. I know some are talking about living with COVID-19, but tonight I say that we never will just accept living with COVID-19. We'll continue to combat the virus as we do other diseases. And because this virus mutates and spreads, we have to stay on guard. And here are 4 common sense steps as we move forward safely, in my view. First, stay protected with vaccines and treatments.
Good, because you got to give those profits
vaccines
to the
are.
companies.
If you're vaccinated and boosted, you have the highest degree of protection.
Get boosted
We'll
again
never
so
give
they
up
could
on
make more
vaccinating more
money.
Americans. Now, I know parents with kids under 5 are eager to see their vaccines authorized for their children. Scientists are working hard to get that done. We'll be ready with plenty of vaccines if and when they do. We're all ready. We are also ready with antiviral treatments. If you get COVID-19, the Pfizer pill reduces your chances of ending up in the hospital by 90%.
Remember, Pfizer made
I've ordered more
$67 billion
pills than anyone in the world has.
last year.
Pfizer is working overtime to get us 1 million pills this month and more than double that next month. And now we're launching the Test to Treat initiative. So people can get tested at a pharmacy, and if they prove positive, receive the antiviral pills on the spot at no cost.
Someone's paying for it. Oh, look at Nadler. Look at
If
Nadler.
you're,
He can't stand up anymore.
if you're immunocompromised or have some other vulnerability, we have treatments and free high-quality masks. We're leaving no one behind or ignoring anyone's needs as we move forward. On testing, we've made hundreds of millions of tests available, and you can order them for free to your doorstep. And we've
Someone's
already
paying
ordered
for
free
it.
tests. If you already ordered free tests tonight, I'm announcing you can order another group of tests. Go to covidtest.gov.
So that means,
Starting
let's say
next
they're
week, and you can get more
$10.
tests. Second,
They
we must
cost the government
prepare for
$50 to
new variants.
$100. 100
Over
of
the
them.
past, we've gotten much better at
Oh,
detecting new variants. If necessary, we'll be able to develop new vaccines within 100 days
say
instead of
$100
maybe
times a
months or
million,
years.
$100 million
And if
to
Congress provides the funds we need, we'll have
those
new
companies.
stockpiles of tests, masks, pills ready if needed. I can't promise a new variant won't come. Our power to be ready if it does. Third, it does. Third, we can end the shutdown of schools and businesses. We have the tools we need. It's time for America to get back to work and fill our great downtowns again with people. People working from home can feel safe and begin to return to their offices. We're doing that here in the federal government. The vast majority of federal workers will once again work in person. Our schools are open. Let's keep it that way. Our kids need to be in school.
All of a sudden, they need to be in school. First, they needed to be home, and now they need to be in school. When Trump was in office, he wanted them in school, and they wanted them home. Now they want them in school.
75% of adult Americans fully vaccinated, and hospitalizations down by 77%. Most Americans can remove their masks and stay in the classroom and move forward safely. We achieved this because we provided free vaccines, treatments, tests, and masks. Of course, continuing this costs money, so I'll not surprise you. I'll be back to see you all. And I'm going to soon send a request to Congress. The vast majority of Americans had used these tools and may want again. We may need them again, so I expect Congress, and I hope you'll pass that quickly. Fourth, we'll continue vaccinating the world. We've sent 475 million vaccine doses to 112 countries, more than any nation on earth.
475 million at $100 is, what is that, 475, $47.5 billion it cost us to send vaccines around the world.
These diseases. You know, we've lost so much in COVID-19. Time with one another. The worst of all, the loss of life. Let's use this moment to reset. So stop looking at COVID as a partisan dividing line. See it for what it is, a god-awful disease. Let's stop seeing each other as enemies and start seeing each other for who we are. Fellow. We can't change how divided we've been. It was a long time in coming. But we can change how to move forward on COVID-19 and other issues that we must face together. I recently visited New York City Police Department days after the funerals of Officer Wilbur Mora and his partner, Officer Jason Rivera. They were responding to a 9/11 call when a man shot and killed them with a stolen gun. Officer Moore was 27 years old. Officer Rivera was 22 years old. Both Dominican Americans who grew up in the same streets that they later chose to patrol as police officers. I spoke with their families, and I told them that we were forever in debt for their sacrifices and will carry on their mission to restore the trust and safety of every community deserves. Like some of you that have been around for a while, I've worked with you on these issues for a long time. I know what works. Investigating crime prevention and community policing, cops who walk the beat, who know the neighborhood, and who can restore trust and safety. Let's not abandon our streets. or choose between safety and equal justice. Let's come together and protect our communities, restore trust, and hold law enforcement accountable. That's why the Justice Department has required body cameras, banned choke calls, and restricted no-knock warrants for its officers. That's why the American Rescue Plan that you all provided $350 billion that cities, states, and counties can use to hire more police, invest in more proven strategy. Proven strategies like community violence interruption, trusted messengers, breaking the cycle of violence and trauma, giving
This
young
can't
people
be
some
any more
hope.
boring. Is this really our
We should all
president?
agree the answer is not to defund the police, it's to fund the police.
Oh, all of a sudden,
Fund them.
now they want to fund the
Fund
police.
them.
Show AOC, is she standing? Because she
Fund
wants a
them with
defund.
resources and training. Resources and training they need to protect our communities.
What a bunch of phonies.
I ask Democrats and Republicans alike to pass my budget and keep our neighborhoods safe. And we'll do everything in my power to crack down on gun trafficking, of ghost guns that you can buy online, assemble at home, no serial numbers, can't be traced. I ask Congress to pass proven measures to reduce gun violence, pass universal background checks. Why should anyone on the terrorist list be able to purchase a weapon? Why? Why? And folks, ban assault weapons with high-capacity magazines hold up to 100 rounds. You think the deer are wearing Kevlar vests? Look, repeal the liability shield. It makes gun manufacturers the only industry in America that can't be sued. The only one.
No, Pfizer
Imagine
and
had we
Moderna
done
can't
that
be
with the
sued
tobacco
over their
manufacturers. These laws don't infringe on the Second Amendment. They save lives. The most fundamental right in America is the right to vote and have it counted. And look,
but do it
it's under
legally.
assault. In state after state, new laws have been passed. Not only to suppress the vote, we've been there before, but to subvert the entire election. We can't let this happen. Tonight, I call on the Senate to pass the Freedom to Vote Act, pass the John Lewis Act, Voting Rights Act. And while you're at it, pass the Disclose Act so Americans know who's funding our elections. Look, tonight, I like to honor someone who dedicated his life to serve this country. Justice Breyer, an Army veteran, constitutional scholar, retiring Justice of the United States Supreme Court. Justice Breyer, thank you for your service. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
If you don't know, Biden nominated a socialist judge candidate, which she's not going to pass. She will not be.
No matter what your ideology, we all
put
know
in.
one of the most serious constitutional responsibility a president has is nominating someone to serve on the United States Supreme Court. As I did 4 days ago, I've nominated the Circuit Court of Appeals, Ketanji Brown Jackson, one of our nation's top legal minds.
She will not get
Will
approved.
continue in Justice Breyer's legacy of excellence.
She will not get approved.
A former top litigator in private practice, a former federal public
She's
defender,
so left wing
from
that
a family of
the
public
two
school
people,
educators and police
the
officers.
two Democrats
She's a consensus builder.
that are more moderate will
Since she's
not
been
vote for her.
nominated, she's received a broad range of support, including
Just
the
so you know, in
Fraternal
order
Order
to
of
get
Police and former judges appointed by
approved, you need
Democrats
a
and
majority in
Republicans.
the Senate, not
Folks,
the House.
if we're to advance
I don't think
liberty
they
and
have a
justice,
majority in the Senate for her.
we need to secure our border and fix the immigration system.
Well, are they going to? How are they going to secure the border? Trump did it and he took the wall down.
And as you might guess, I think we can do both. At our border, We've installed new technology like cutting-edge scanners to better detect drug smuggling. We've set up joint patrols of Mexico and Guatemala to catch more human traffickers. We're putting in place dedicated immigration judges in a significant larger number so families fleeing persecution and violence can have their cases heard faster, and those who don't legitimately hear can be sent back. We're screening, we're securing commitments and supporting partners in South and Central America to host more refugees and secure their own borders. We can do all this while keeping lit the torch of liberty that has led a generation of immigrants to this land, my forebears and many of yours. Provide a pathway to citizenship for dreamers, those with temporary status, farm workers, essential workers. Revise our laws so businesses have workers they need and families don't wait decades to reunite. It's not only the right thing to do, it's economically smart thing to do. That's why the immigration reform is supported by everyone from labor unions to religious leaders to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Let's get it done once and for all. Folks, advancing liberty and justice also requires protecting the rights of women. The constitutional right affirmed by Roe v. Wade, standing precedent for half a century, is under attack as never before. If you want to go forward, not backwards, we must protect access to health care, preserve a woman's right to choose, and continue to advance maternal health care for all Americans. And folks, for our LGBTQ plus Americans, let's finally get the Bipartisan Equality Act to my desk. The onslaught of state laws targeting transgender Americans and their families, it's simply wrong. And I said last year, especially to our younger transgender Americans, I'll always have your back as your president so you can be yourself and reach your God-given potential. Folks, as I've just demonstrated, while it often appears we do not agree, and that we do agree on a lot more things than we acknowledge. I signed 80 bipartisan bills into law last year, from preventing government shutdowns, to protecting Asian Americans from still too common hate crimes, to reforming military justice, and will soon be strengthening the Violence Against Women Act that I first wrote 3 decades ago. And it's important. It's important for us to show the nation we can come together and do big things. So tonight I'm offering a unity agenda for the nation. 4 big things we can do together, in my view. First, beat the opioid epidemic. There's so much we can do. Increase funding for prevention, treatment, harm reduction, and recovery. Get rid of outdated rules and stop doctors that stop doctors from prescribing treatments. Stop the flow of illicit drugs by working with state and local law enforcement to go after the traffickers. And if you're suffering from addiction, you should know you're not alone. I believe in recovery, and I celebrate the 23 million Americans in recovery. Second, let's take on mental health, especially among our children whose lives and education have been turned upside down. American Rescue Plan gave schools money
Don't
to
you
hire
like the
teachers and help
$1,000
students make
outfits
up
the
for lost
Socialist
learning.
Squad is wearing?
I urge every parent to make sure your school does just that. They have the money. We can all play a part. Sign up to be a tutor or a mentor. Children were also struggling before the pandemic: bullying, violence, trauma, and the harms of social media. As Frances Haugen, who is here tonight with us, has shown, we must hold social media platforms accountable for the national experiment they're conducting on our children for profit. Folks, thank you. Thank you for the courage you showed. It's time to strengthen privacy protections, ban targeted advertising to children, Demand tech companies stop collecting personal data on our children. And let's get all Americans the mental health services they need. More people can turn for help and full parity between physical and mental health care if we treat it that way in our insurance. Look, the third piece of that agenda is support our veterans. Veterans are the backbone and the spine of this country. They're the best of us. I've always believed that we have a sacred obligation to equip those we send to war and care for those in their family when they come home. My administration is providing assistance in job training, housing, and now helping lower-income veterans get VA care debt-free. And our troops in Iraq and Afghanistan have faced many dangers, one being stationed at bases breathing in toxic smoke from burn pits. Many of you have been there. I've been in and out of Iraq and Afghanistan over 40 times. These burn pits that incinerate waste, the waste of war, medical and hazardous material, jet fuel, and so much more. And they come home, many of the world's fittest and best trained warriors in the world. Never the same. Headaches, numbness, dizziness. A cancer that would put them in a flag draped coffin. I know. One of those soldiers was my son, Major Bo Biden. I don't know for sure if the burn pit that he lived near, that his hooch was near in Iraq and earlier than that in Kosovo, is the cause of his brain cancer, the disease of so many other troops. But I am committed to find out everything we can, committed to military families like Danielle Robinson from Ohio, the widow of Sergeant First Class Heath Robinson. He was born a soldier, Army National Guard, combat medic in Kosovo and Iraq, stationed near Baghdad, just yards from burn pits the size of football fields. Danielle is here with us tonight. They loved going to Ohio State football games.
Democrats didn't want to support veterans when Trump asked for it.
Daughter.
Hypocrites.
But cancer from prolonged exposure to burn pits ravaged Heath's lungs and body. Danielle says Heath was a fighter to the very end. He didn't know how to stop fighting, and neither did she. Through her pain, she found purpose to demand that we do better. Tonight, Danielle, we are going to do better. The VA is pioneering new ways of linking toxic exposure to disease, already helping more veterans get benefits. And tonight, I'm announcing we're expanding eligibility to veterans suffering from 9 respiratory cancers. I'm also calling on Congress to pass a law to make sure veterans devastated by toxic exposure in Iraq and Afghanistan finally get the benefits and the comprehensive health care they deserve. And fourth and last, let's end cancer as we know it. This is personal. This is personal to me and to Jill and to Kamala and so many of you. So many of you have lost someone you love. Husband, wife, son, daughter, mom, dad. Cancer is the #2 cause of death in America, second only to heart disease. Last month, I announced the plan to supercharge the cancer moonshot that President Obama asked me to lead 6 years ago. Our goal is to cut cancer death rates by at least 50%
Her
over the next
hair.
25 years. I think we can
That's
do
the
better
Florida
than that.
representative. Her hair.
Turn cancer
She's so
from
corrupt.
death sentences into
She had to leave
treatable
the
diseases.
Democratic leadership,
More
and she's
support for
still a
patients and their
congressperson.
families. To get there, I call on Congress to fund what I call ARPA-H, Advanced Research Projects Agency for Health. Pattern after DARPA and the Defense
Kamala Harris
Department.
is the most
Projects that led in DARPA to the
let's
internet,
look at her.
GPS, and
She's
so
a
much more
joke.
to make our
That's a
forces
vice
more
president of
safer
the United
and be able to
States.
wage war with more clarity. ARPA will have a singular purpose: to drive breakthroughs in cancer, Alzheimer's and diabetes, and more. A unity agenda for the nation. We can do these things. It's within our power. And I don't see a partisan edge to any one of those four things. My fellow Americans.
There's your Democratic guy that's going to vote against Joe Manchin. I'm pretty sure he's going to vote against that Supreme Court
A
nominee.
citadel of democracy in this Capitol. Generation after generation of Americans have debated great questions amid great strife.
Nancy Pelosi is such a clown. Look at her.
We fought for freedom.
She's making so much money in her position.
Debated totalitarianism and terror.
Guarantee you those are real pearls worth thousands of dollars.
And most prosperous
Mitt Romney,
nation
I
the
can't
world has
believe
ever
I
known.
never became president. What's going on with the stream? Come on, stream.
I started noticing hair loss around 17 years old. So I was kind of in denial that it could be happening already.
Opportunity. And we will save democracy. As hard as those times have been, I'm more optimistic about America today than I've been my whole life, because I see the future that's within our grasp, because I know there's simply nothing beyond our capacity. We're the only nation on earth that has always turned every crisis we faced into an opportunity. The only nation that can be defined by a single word: possibilities. So on this night, on our 245th year as a nation, I've come to report on the state of the nation, the State of the Union. And my report is this: the State of the Union is strong because you, the American people, are strong. We are stronger today. We are stronger today than we were a year ago. And we'll be stronger a year from now than we are today. This is our moment to meet and overcome the challenges of our time. And we will, as one people, one America, the United States of America. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you. Go get him.
Go get him. Is this guy a joke or what? He did not address any. He talked such generalities of our problems. He can't wait to go home and go to sleep. I'm going to shake hands and go to sleep. There we go, COVID. Let's kiss. Even though we all got COVID, we got rid of the masks. Let's hug and kiss because we don't have to wear masks anymore. He's so happy it's over, he didn't fall asleep. Chuck Schumer, his other corrupt, is the most corrupt trio right on. These guys have been in Congress so long. Bunch of thieves. Oh, Come on, stream. I wonder if this is like deliberate so you don't see him falling asleep or who he's. Well, I'm sure it's on TV. It's not. I guess that's it. So thank you for joining us. I don't know what happened to the feed. Thank you for joining us and watch the replay. So make sure you watch Todd, You're an Idiot podcast, vodcast, Sports Gluttons, and had a lot of fun tonight. All righty.